Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning, bright and early, 6:05 a.m. here, the Monday after a long Thanksgiving break. I hope you had a blessed Thanksgiving. I know I did. We played some cards, we ate some turkey, we actually smoked our turkey, but we had to throw it into the oven because it was a little bit too nippy outside. It was very, very cold, so it was hard to keep that temperature in the smoker. We also smoked a brisket. It was a lot of fun. What'd you do on Thanksgiving Day? 309-451-9299. I love this time of year. I really do. I love that time period between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm a big Christmas person, love Christmas, and tis the season, and he is the reason, Jesus Christ. So that's why I love Christmas so much. I love the Christmas story. Luke, Acts, that's what we talked about in church yesterday morning. We went to church and we dug into the book of Luke, which is where the Christmas story kind of begins. So Luke and Acts, it's his life, it's his birth, his life, his death, his resurrection, and his ascension. And I encourage you, read it. Read Luke's, read the book of Acts. It's quite a couple of books. So I do want to talk a little bit about Scott Presler, destroying the CNN reporter who was trying to paint him and other conservatives as violent. I also want to talk about this actress who I have no idea what she's in. I just saw this clip and my jaw dropped to the floor. She's an actress. Her name is Sharon Stone, and she's calling Americans ignorant and arrogant for electing President Donald Trump. Yes. And breaking news, Joe Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden, even though he said he wasn't going to do it. Joe Biden has been asked, and the press secretary has been asked several times, Kieran Jean-Pierre, is Joe Biden planning on pardoning his son? And several times he has said, no, 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 no. So what changed? Why the change of heart, Joe? We're going to be digging into that story here. Also, this local story. I think I'm going to start here. I'm going to start here with this local story. It was a Chuck Erickson post. Can confirm that this email is real. It was FOIA'd. And this is shocking because this is from Trevor Sierra. Now, I talked a little bit about this on Friday, but I wanted to open it up in the 6 o'clock hour for you listeners who might not join me in the 7 o'clock hour, because this is important if you live in Bloomington Normal, and really important if you live anywhere, because this is where the corruption happens, okay, in your local government. And this is the kind of stuff that you can change at the ballot box. So I'm going to get to this email and we're going to read it piece by piece. And this is from Trevor Sierra. He's a former assistant county state's attorney who used to provide legal advice, I guess, to the county board. So his name's Trevor Sierra, and these are his allegations at this point. So, there should be a thorough investigation done into either just the county administrator, or really, I think it should be into Miss Elizabeth Johnston as well. She's a county board member who was recently elected in District 5. There needs to be a full investigation, and people should get fired if any of this can be proven true, which should be pretty easy to prove if these accusations and these allegations check out. It should be pretty easy. So let's get to the email. And as always, I'm live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble. You guys can always check it out and subscribe to the channel. Okay, here's the email. This is from Trevor Sierra. Okay, so he used to work in the government building in McLean County. He's, a government employee, used to be former assistant county state's attorney. So let's take a listen to this email. He goes, quote, "I regret to inform you of unethical conduct arising from the office of the county administrator." Notice how he just says the county administrator, by the way. I think we really need to not let Elizabeth Johnston go here. She was obviously, and you'll figure this out, instrumental in these political activities that shouldn't have been taking place in a government building. So he goes, I regret to inform you of the unethical conduct arising from the office of the county administrator over the course of the last 3 months. After the county board adopted a referendum to eliminate the office of McLean County Auditor. Now, I've provided you facts about why this county auditor, not just in McLean County, but also in Champaign County, in Peoria County, they ousted their auditor as well. This is a move by Illinois Democrats, just Democrats everywhere across the state. They don't want the county auditors, which makes sense. Democrats are traditionally against government transparency and accountability, and the whole role of the county auditor is to ensure that the county board is being held accountable. It's an elected office, or it should be an elected office, so that way they aren't, partisan, or they're not biased, right? The people can elect that county auditor, and if we don't like that county auditor, or if we think that the county auditor is not doing their job correctly, we can vote in a new one. So the county auditor is a really crucial position because it's all about government transparency and watching the spending of the county board. And like I told you, in Champaign County, it's a push by the League of Women Voters, which is a Democrat nonprofit. And you've got the Champaign County auditor revealing $2.1 million in a loss of revenue, which was explosive news to me. I was like, my jaw dropped when I heard the news from the Democrat, by the way. It doesn't, they just don't like the position. It's not that they wanted to oust a Republican county auditor. It's that they don't like the position of county auditor because the county auditor is tasked with government transparency and accountability. And in Champaign, he found out that the county board didn't vote to put this money, the COVID dollars, the federal dollars, ARPA funds, into an interest-bearing account, which is like Finance 101. We all know that you should be doing that, putting your money into an interest-bearing account, not letting it sit there. We should be making the tax dollars work for the taxpayer. Okay, we should be smart with the taxpayer dollar. They weren't smart with it. They didn't put it in an interest-bearing account, and they lost $2 million worth of revenue. So Champaign County Auditor exposed that, and really I think that the reason why they voted to put a referendum in Champaign County to oust their auditor is because he was doing his job, and they didn't like that. Same with Michelle Anderson. I think that she was doing her job, and they didn't want the county auditor, just in general too, because it's like I said, a role where they check the government, and they don't want that. They just want to operate without any checks and balances, and unfettered power, like a dictatorship. So the email goes on. He continues. He says, after the county board adopted the referendum to eliminate the office of McLean County Auditor, Ms. Taylor used her position as a county administrator. Ms. Taylor is Cassie Taylor. She has one of the highest paid positions in county government. Okay, this is as high as you go in county government, really. So she orchestrated political activities intended to promote the passage of the referendum. Shocking. Such political activity includes solicitation of funds from county employees or for a political action committee. So she was going around asking people for money, and this political action committee, the PAC, was established in support of the referendum to get the auditor out, to oust that position entirely. Okay, so the email goes on. He says, on or about Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Like I said, this email, we know it's true. We know that the email was actually sent. You can FOIA it. Checked into that this email is true. You've got Thursday, September 5th, 2024. So he's naming specific dates, this guy. And keep in mind, Trevor Sierra, don't know who he is, but he's an attorney. Okay, so he's not some schmuck. He knows what he's doing. And he crafted this email, I think maybe because he has deep remorse, and really I'm just going to, speculate here, the fact that he's going after Cassie Taylor. They want somebody to fall on the sword, and I don't think that they want Elizabeth Johnson to fall on her sword, because that means they lose a little bit of their majority on that county board if she were to have to step down. Well, I don't know. They'd probably have to fill her position with another Democrat, but it makes the Democrat Party look weak if Elizabeth Johnson has to resign in disgrace. Okay, and it makes them look really, really bad. The local Democrat Party here. But I don't know what the intent of this email is exactly. I think maybe he just wants to apologize. We're going to get to that here. Trevor Sierra's email. At the end, he apologizes for his behavior in these political activities that happened, allegedly. So he says, Miss Taylor approached me on the subject of making a personal donation. She stated that county board member Elizabeth Johnston would be coming through the county administrator's office to collect donations from any employees who desired to contribute. She stated that the Political Action Committee rules allowed for cash donations of up to $149 per person or $298 per couple without any names being published. So already kind of shady, like you're using government property to participate in these, political activities you shouldn't be participating in, solicitation of funds from county employees on government property, for a political action committee. In support of this referendum, that's not a good look. But then to top it off, like the sprinkles on the cake here, it's the, oh, you might want to keep your cash donations, under the radar and try to make the minimum donation because, you might not want your name to be associated with that donation. Like, very, very shady that they were like, hey, the committee rules, they say that cash donations of up to $149 don't get published, and you don't have to go public or tie your name to those donations. So Miss Taylor on September 10th, allegedly Tuesday, asked a second time about donation, reminding me and other staff members in the administrator's office that Miss Johnston would be coming around the office again to pick up donations later that week. My recollection is that the assistant county administrator, Kathy Dreyer, was on vacation in Mexico, but Miss Taylor called and offered to make a cash contribution on behalf of Miss Dreyer. So she was on vacation in Mexico. Somebody in the office was on vacation in Mexico, and Taylor had offered to make a contribution on behalf of Kathy here. And then when Kathy got back from Mexico, Kathy could repay Taylor for the contribution. So about 2 days thereafter, I provided Miss Johnston with a cash envelope containing approximately $298 on behalf of myself and my spouse. Now, this is Trevor Sierra. He's participating in these political activities, okay, which, like I'll get to this in a second, is illegal. State law, says, hey, you cannot use government property to engage in political activities like this. I don't know what's going on here, but we need answers, and there needs to be a thorough investigation done into this, and people should resign in disgrace, or they should be fired for, I don't know, breaking the law. Okay. So on Thursday, September 19th, Miss Taylor stated that fundraising efforts were not satisfactory. They didn't have enough money. Yeah, probably because the cause was stupid. But anyway, let's continue with the and asked me to call the state's attorney, Erica Reynolds, to inquire whether Circuit Judge Don Knapp or other allies would be willing to contribute to the PAC. Oh, so see what you're doing here? Now you've tasked, Ms. Taylor allegedly has tasked government employee, county employee, to go do campaign work. Okay, so this is, this is beyond collecting donations for a PAC. This is now tasking. You're in this government building. You're the county administrator. If you ask somebody to do something, it's implied that they will be fired if they don't do it because you are the boss and you're asking your underlings, hey, do this. Please call State's Attorney Erica Reynolds and inquire whether Circuit Judge Don Knapp or other allies would be willing to contribute to this PAC. So That's the way I look at it. She's the boss. She asks you to do something, you're going to do it. Okay. Like I said, it's the top ranking county employee. So Miss Taylor explicitly stated, quote, "If asked about this conversation, I will lie." Wow. I had called Miss Reynolds that same day, September 19th, per Miss Taylor's request. Miss Reynolds had questions regarding the PAC that I could not answer, so she asked me to ask Miss Johnston for a contact. I provided Miss Reynolds with a name and a telephone number that had been provided to me by Miss Johnston. So I guess it was some sort of contact. He couldn't, imagine that, he was tasked with the job and he couldn't do the job because he wasn't a member of the campaign. So she was trying to get campaign work out of him, out of Trevor Sierra here. And he failed at that job. Oh, because he's not on the campaign. Okay. So Erica Reynolds had more questions. He provided a contact name. Yeah, that's working for a campaign, by the way. If you try to get somebody to contribute, to fundraising efforts, and then they have questions about that said campaign, and then you provide them with more information or someone who can provide more information, that's working on a campaign. So, and you're doing that all on this government property. I mean, this is wild. On or about Wednesday, October 2nd, I'm going to take a quick break. I got to take a quick break, but we're going to come back and I'm going to unpack this email here. There's one more part, October 2nd. And we're going to get to this email on the other side. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I know this is like hyper local stuff, folks, but the big thing here is that state law says that you cannot engage in political activities while on government property or using government resources. Utilizing this worker, Trevor Sierra, utilizing him on government property to go and campaign on behalf of an issue and to get other government employees to contribute to the cause here and to contribute to the fundraising efforts. This is, I mean, I'll pull it up right now, the law and exactly the wording here. Just so that way you have it. And I'm kind of getting sick of this because, we had a deal with Unit 5, the school district here, and the same thing was going on with the Unit 5 tax hike, okay? So, and from what I understand, District 87 is also looking at a tax hike now. If I'm not mistaken, I called that. I said, Unit 5 is this year, and in a couple of years, District 87 will increase your taxes just like Unit 5 because these people have no shame and they're willing to just raise your taxes and continue to steal your money for services that are kind of crap. So no state employee candidate or candidate for elective office, lobbyist, or representative of any political organization may solicit, offer, receive, or give campaign contributions on state property unless that property has been rented from the state by a private person or entity. Okay. So here it is. I mean, this is political activity. Now, I understand it's a state employee, but this is all, I mean, they might try to argue that they had the right to do this because it's county government. So, yeah, I mean, it's not good. It's definitely, if it's not blatantly illegal, which I think it is, the law is pretty clear about this kind of thing. If it's not blatantly illegal, it's definitely unethical, and people should not be in their positions anymore if any of this can be proven true, which I'd imagine is pretty easy to do. Hopefully he didn't delete his phone records. I'd love to see, the calls placed to Erica Reynolds. I'd love to see these dates and talk with others and see in the county government, if you know anybody in the county government who, had said, oh, yes, I made a political contribution at this. I mean, if you have multiple people saying that they made contributions and not just Trevor Sierra, that would go a long way in proving that this actually did happen when you have multiple people saying, hey, yes, I made a contribution to this political action committee. That would be proof. So yeah, there's the law right there. No state employee, candidate for elective office, lobbyist, or representative of any political action or political organization, which would be that PAC that was established in support of this referendum to eliminate the McLean County auditor, may solicit, offer, or receive, or give contributions on state property. So this is against the law to do this kind of stuff. Now, I'd have to dig into it. Let's see if it applies to county. I would imagine they would, have to. I mean, he was a former state attorney, county state's attorney. I don't know if he was the state attorney or a state attorney for the county, assistant state attorney for the county when he was making these contributions. I'd have to look into his career there. But I mean, he is actually, I mean, if you're a county, if you're state attorney for the county, then yeah, you are kind of a state employee, hence the word state attorney. Same thing. I mean, if Erica Reynolds actually did make a contribution, she would fall under this category as well. State employee. Now, I'm pretty sure it applies to county employees as well. But point is, it's not that they donated, it's that they donated on government property, and you cannot do that. Elected officials are free to make contributions to candidates they choose or to whatever causes they want. You just can't do it on government property. So that's the issue here, is that they are using a taxpayer-funded facility to engage in politics, and that's not what we hired these people to. That's not what we pay these people for. You're not supposed to be campaigning on taxpayer dime. Okay, you're supposed to be doing the work of the community, and unfortunately, it looks like these people weren't doing much work at all during these 3 months. It seems like they were probably just focused on campaigning for this issue of county auditor, eliminating this county auditor position, which is really, really tragic, because I know a lot of people in McLean County, they want less taxes, they're hurting, and they really, need better services. And I mean, there's so much work that they could be doing, and to sit there and try to fundraise for a political cause is kind of embarrassing, really. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single day. Now, before I took the break, I was reading this email. Trevor Sierra, he is a former state's attorney for the county, provided legal advice for the county board. This is insane. Insane in the brain. I can't believe that this is going on and nobody's talking about it. You're not going to see, NPR, you're not going to see any other media outlet in Bloomington Normal talking about this kind of corruption. And you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, Katz, what's the big deal? Really, what's the big deal? Elected officials should be free to make any kind of contributions they want to whatever candidates or campaigns that they choose. The big deal here is that they were doing it on government property with taxpayer dollars. I mean, this is a taxpayer-funded facility, and you should be working. You should not be campaigning. That's not what we pay you to do while you're there at your job on 115 East Washington Street. Okay, so here's the email, the rest of the email from Trevor Sierra. He says, Miss Taylor on October 2nd solicited a contribution for a third time. So 3 times they've gone around with I'd imagine a little basket and asked people for donations, which is explicitly against the law. I'm pretty sure that this law applies to government employees as well, or McLean County government or county government employees. If not, this is like super unethical. No state employees. Here's the state law. I know it's against the law when it comes to the state, so I'd imagine it's against the law when it comes to your county government. No state employee, candidate for elective office, lobbyist, or representative. So this would be what Elizabeth Johnson and Cassie Taylor fall under, because they weren't going around and collecting donations for Elizabeth Johnson's campaign. They were going around and collecting donations on behalf of a political organization. This was a PAC that was established in support of the referendum. And it says right here, no representative of any political organization may solicit, offer, receive, or give. So even Trevor here, he's an employee of the state at the time. I don't know exactly, his career and what he did for the state or for the government here, but any employee who gave campaign contributions on state property or government property, you cannot do that. It says no, you cannot do that. So the big problem here is that they did it all on government property. How do I know that? Here's what the email says. Ms. Taylor solicited a contribution for a third time, stating that the PAC was short of an established goal for their promotional materials. Promotional materials like mailers or pins or whatever. TV ads, radio ads, who knows what they were taking this money and spending on for this campaign and for this referendum to pass. It's so funny that this referendum didn't pass, and that, the history of this trying to go after the auditor has been a thing for quite some time. I think it's quite literally been a thing since 2014. They've been trying to go after this auditor. In 2014, there was a referendum to eliminate the auditor's office, and it failed. And like I said, it's not just exclusive to McLean County. It's the entire state. There's even a law that kind of puts population parameters and limitations on what counties can actually have a county auditor or are required to have a county auditor. So this has been an attack just statewide on county auditors in that position. Peoria County, they voted to oust their auditor, I think, back in 2022. Just really unfortunate. But here's the rest of the email. They were short of their established goal for promotional materials that day, or shortly thereafter. I provided Ms. Johnston with another $200 cash donation. All solicitations described herein took place. Here we go. He says, everything that I described in this email took place at the county government center located on 115 East Washington Street. No promises or threats were made regarding the contributions. I regret my participation in these activities. Here's what he says. And I offer my sincere apologies to the county auditor, Michelle Anderson, each of you, and most importantly, the taxpayers of McLean County. Sincerely yours, Trevor Sierra. Wow. Kind of explosive here. Okay, so he's apologizing to the county auditor, obviously. And like I said, this would never fly in the private sector. So for example, let's just talk about McDonald's, okay? If you were going around and you were fundraising for your rival your rival like Burger King, okay, and if you were going around maybe like and talking about the employee benefits that Burger King offers, like, oh look, go work at Burger King because they offer great employee benefits, they give you a 401k or whatever. I don't know, folks, don't go apply to Burger King for the Great Retire. I have no idea what they offer. Okay, I'm just using this as an example where McDonald's, right, you work at McDonald's, you come in and you start trying to get people to go work at Burger King. That's kind of like this. And if you were to do that on McDonald's property, on this McDonald's property, you would be gone so fast if you were trying to poach or trying to get people to your side, okay, to the Burger King side. And if you were currently, that's what this is. And there's laws against that sort of thing because it's not so easy to fire government employees. Things have to go up to a vote, and yeah, it's just a mess. So Yeah, that's the email. I do need to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about Scott Presler. He destroyed this CNN reporter who was trying to paint him and other conservatives as super violent, which is hilarious. Um, we'll be back with that, but text me, let me know. How peeved off are you about this situation? Really? 309-451-9299. I'm pretty peeved off. And clearly I have reason to be peeved off. I'm a taxpayer of McLean County. Trevor Sierra here thinks that he needs to apologize to me and you, the McLean County taxpayers. Okay. So he offered his sincere apologies to you and to the auditor. I mean, if he did nothing wrong, which he obviously did something wrong, otherwise he wouldn't be apologizing. I mean, good on Trevor Sierra for apologizing. I'd love to see an apology from Cassie Taylor. I'd love to see an apology from Elizabeth Johnson. In fact, I'd like to see more than an apology. I'd like to see a thorough investigation done, and and an independent investigation. I don't think anybody in McLean County should be doing this because it sounds like a lot of them donated to this PAC that was established in support of this referendum. There needs to be an independent investigation done, and we need to look into everybody who made and gave contributions on government property, anybody who solicited donations or tried to receive donations, campaign donations on government property. We need to look into this, and those people need to be fired. Just bottom line, you need to go. You need to go. All right, I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Reading blnnews.com this morning by Diane Benjamin. She's got this out there, some text messages between Trevor Sierra and Lizzie Johnson. Trevor's requesting a refund now for his contribution that he made. He even calls it solicited illegally. He said that the contribution was made and it was solicited illegally. Wow, explosive stuff. And I like the question she raises here. How are Lizzie Johnson, the McLean County board member, and I think that she could be leadership, like the chair of the county board. They have the majority. I think that vote is supposed to be taking place tonight. But really, how are Lizzie and the Democrats supposed to work with Michelle Anderson over the next 4 years when they actively work to abolish her office on government property? They actively campaigned using taxpayer resources, using government property, and they tried to abolish her office. Like, I do it in your free time. Really, make contributions in your free time, campaign on in your free time. Don't do it at work, right? I mean, even at work, right? This is what bothers me so much about the public sector. None of this kind of stuff is even remotely accepted in the private sector. If I were to use, company time to campaign for a candidate, I mean, I would be fired, right? Or to campaign for a cause, or to raise money for a campaign. I mean, come on. This is a joke. It's really just a big old joke. And here's the text messages I find really interesting. Now, this was on blnnews.com. She obtained these text messages, I'd imagine, from either Trevor or, this is wild. These are screenshots from the text messages. He says, "Hi, Lizzie. Who can I contact about getting a refund for donations I made to your PAC to eliminate the office of McLean County Auditor? As you are aware, the funds were illegally solicited in violation of state law and McLean County Ethics Code." So I'll read through the McLean County Ethics Code in just a second here. And he goes, "I'll ask again with the media included in the morning." Get him, Trevor. Go. Man, this is spicy stuff right here. And then Lizzie replies back, "If you would like a refund, I can put you in touch with the team." I'm sorry. This is just hilarious. Yes, that's what I'm asking for. That's what Trevor says. He goes, "Yes, I'm asking for a refund." Okay, how would you like your refund? Check seems appropriate, but I don't know all the campaign finance rules. Then Lizzie says, "I'm not sure if that account is still open to be able to write a check with the failure of the referendum. I believe they will be closing down that account effective immediately. I can have someone call you in the morning." And he says, "Thank you." And then she goes, "I barely caught the PAC member on their way out of town. They agreed per your request to return the donations. Check will be written and will go in the mail." Hey, if you're a county employee and you were duped and because this is illegal, in a way, Trevor is a victim here because you've got people engaging. But he also, I mean, the law is pretty clear. It says that you cannot give campaign contributions as an employee either. I'll have to read through the McLean County Ethics Committee or Code to see what that says. But in a way, right, you've got Cassie Taylor, like I said, the top-ranking government employee. I mean, one of the top employees there in county government. That's as high as you pretty much go. And she's out there using her role, using the government property to get these donations from people. I mean, it's kind of implied that if you don't give me contributions for this PAC, then I'm going to fire you. Right? It's somewhat implied. That's why these kinds of things are illegal. That's why these kinds of things are laid out in the ethics code. And I swear, if Lizzie Johnson doesn't get what's coming, I mean, she needs to be let go. I mean, this is illegal. I don't know. It's against all the ethics codes. But I'm telling you right now, this is how the public sector works. You can do whatever you want in the public sector. You could commit crimes. You could do illegal activity, and you won't be held accountable for any of it. So I will get to actually Hunter Biden. It's a great segue. Joe Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. People in the public sector are never held accountable. They just get away with everything. And if you or I were to do this in the private sector, if we were to do this in our own jobs, use company time, steal company time to participate in political activities, we would be fired, right? If I were to, even in my job, okay, I can't just use company time to go campaign. Okay, I can't do that. I have to do that in my private time. And I mean, this is just insanity that nobody is being held accountable for this thing. Now, apparently, there's supposed to be some sort of investigation. Hopefully, it's an independent investigation. I'm looking forward to that. I hope that they do conduct one. And I hope that there's actual results that come from that investigation, i.e., people are fired, i.e., people are let go from their positions, and the county board actually votes. And, it's a majority county board, a Democrat. They're not going to vote to oust Lizzie, which I'm pretty sure that's what has to happen. There has to be a vote to oust her. But I mean, she conducted illegal activity. I mean, illegally, there you got an attorney saying it in a text message that they were illegally solicited. He went that far in the text message, and in fact, I mean, she didn't say that. Hey, Trevor, don't accuse me of illegally soliciting donations, or don't accuse people of illegally soliciting donations. She didn't say that. She said, "I'll go ahead and issue a refund." Which she doesn't deny it. So this lack of deniability suggests to me that she understands that it was illegal, and she's willing to give him the refund because she knows it was illegal and it was wrong. And we've got to take a break, but we're going to be back. And I promise we're going to shift gears. I am moving on to Scott Presler here. I also want to talk about Joe Biden pardoning his son Hunter. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk, Bloomington Normal. Yeah, I agree. We've got all these college students, and we wouldn't have these problems and this corruption going on in the county. There's a lot of, educated, smart adults out there. Yes, and I'm not saying that college students aren't smart. The thing is that they've been indoctrinated to believe that you got to vote blue no matter who, right? And we saw the demographics. They came out for Trump in numbers. Young people who weren't attending college voted for Trump overwhelmingly. And then you look at young people in colleges, and they voted for Kamala Harris. So there's something there about college. It's an indoctrination. It's not that these people are more educated. It's an indoctrination camp. Also, the gerrymandering, Jacqueline. I think that is a big problem, not only in the county districts, but the state districts. Okay. So for years, even at the McLean County government level, you've got gerrymandering going on where, and I know this for the 91st State House district, that was completely drawn to be a Democrat district. It includes, both colleges. It was drawn to be a Democrat district. And when you look at the maps, they're not fair. They loop in these liberal strongholds so that way there's more districts that turn blue. So with years of gerrymandering, I mean, there's just no way we can come out from under this blue stronghold that Illinois is under. Which is why I think that we're getting closer and closer to kind of like a secession. And that's true. We are getting closer to seceding part of Illinois, or almost all of Illinois, away from Chicago. Because what you'll see is these big old gerrymandered, so they'll loop Chicago, or they'll loop these, liberal areas like Peoria into these more rural districts. And that's just not fair, because you're turning all of these more rural districts purple or blue, which is exactly what happened to McLean County. You've got gerrymandering going on. And yeah, with that, I mean, with that behemoth, there's no way we can get out from under the blue stronghold. And like you said, the college students, they keep voting for Democrats, and they've got this vote blue no matter who mentality. And it's really sad. So swearing in at 8:30 this morning. Thank you for the information. Yeah, I wonder, is this when they will have their actual monthly meeting? I'm not too sure. Honestly, with the Democrat majority, they could probably waive rules and kind of bend the rules, and they might be able to get away with 8:30 this morning. Geez, they really don't want this to be in the public eye at all if they're doing this at 8:30 in the morning. Yeah, they're trying to sneak people in. Now she must be swearing in, and she must be the chair. She's going to be swearing in as chair, I'd imagine. I don't know. I don't even know how this is possible given the current allegations waged against her and Cassie Taylor and this whole, because clearly they were all in on it together, this illegal soliciting of funds. So, I mean, what? She's actually going to be the chair. You've got somebody who committed a possibly, allegedly illegal activity here on government property. And, she didn't deny it in those text messages I just read to you. She was willing to give the guy a refund after he accused her of illegally soliciting the donation and giving the lack of deniability, or the lack of denial here, or denying him the refund. She gave him the refund, which suggests to me that she knows exactly what she was doing when she was going around three times to collect donations for this PAC. And I like the question that Diane raises: how are they supposed to work with the county auditor? She's the county auditor, and they were illegally soliciting funds to outs to this position that she had. I don't know how you continue to work with somebody like that. And I don't know, how they made it really hard for her to be nonpartisan. Okay, I don't think that Michelle Anderson isn't going to be able to do her job because of this, but they're making it more difficult for her to act in a partisan way, knowing that they performed these illegal solicitations of funds to oust her from her job. Explosive story. Maybe we'll get to it a little bit later, but I can't believe it. You've got people illegally soliciting donations on county government property. You've got an attorney saying that, not me, not all conservative cat. I'm not saying it's illegal. He said it in a text message. And then Lizzie Johnson gave him the refund for his donation, which to me suggests that she knows that it was wrong, and she didn't say that, hey, I'm sorry, none of that. But the action of giving him his refund after he accuses her, her, because she was the one going around the office, and Cassie Taylor of illegally soliciting the funds. And she doesn't deny that. She doesn't get upset about that. It's almost like she knows, right? And then she's going to wind up being the chair. I guess there's a swearing in meeting that's going to be happening this morning. And of course, they're doing it this morning at 8:30 a.m. because they do not want the public to know. And yeah, this is explosive stuff. You're just going to be rewarded with this chairmanship, with this leadership, Lizzie, after you've got these allegations waged against you? And this is shocking stuff. There should be an independent investigation done. People should be fired. People should be looked into. I mean, not given leadership roles on the county board. Okay. Man. All right. I do want to talk about Scott Presler. CNN tried to tie Scott Presler's rhetoric to something akin of January 6th, but because he's smarter than probably everybody in the studio there at CNN, he shut down this reporter who foolishly tried to pin him in a corner. They tried to paint him as violent, and they tried to tie his rhetoric to something akin to January 6th, which he just shut this reporter down right away and makes her look really pathetic. So we're going to play that clip on the other side. And a little bit later, we are going to be getting to Joe Biden pardoning his son Hunter, even though he has long said that he had no plans to pardon his son Hunter, who's been convicted of felony charges, by the way. All that changed on Sunday when Joe Biden announced that he had issued a pardon for his son. Now, this was despite repeated assurances that Biden would not pardon his son. It was reported that he had been mulling it over. Now, he had repeatedly said, no, I'm not going to be pardoning him. But I guess he's been mulling it over and kind of thinking about pardoning his son since June. Probably the polling suggested that Kamala Harris was not going to get in, and they had a pretty clear picture that he was not that they were not going to obtain the presidency, the Democrats. All right, I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. We'll be right back at the top of the hour. Yeah, swearing in this morning. Now, I did see something out of the Panagraph, which I'm kind of shocked that they're covering this. I did see that they were talking about how Michelle Anderson, the current McLean County auditor, had said that she's looking forward to an independent investigation into the allegations and unethical conduct. I love how the Panagraph says this, in their social media post a couple of days ago. They said that their will is looking forward to an independent investigation. I don't know if it's like official that there's an independent investigation and who's conducting it, but she said that she's looking forward to one. So good on Michelle Anderson, the county auditor, coming out and saying, hey, there needs to be an investigation done, and I'm looking forward to it. And I love how the Panagraph says this: allegations of unethical conduct. Whoa. Yes, it's unethical conduct, but I think you could go a step further. Illegal conduct. Okay. There was a campaign to eliminate her office, as I said, and as the attorney said in his text message, that they were illegally solicited, and it's against state law to do this kind of stuff. So this is really, really shocking. Shocking information. And she's going to wind up with the chairmanship, and that's not cool because, as I said, you've got a coordinated attack really against county auditors across the state. So this is nothing just to McLean County. This is not just drama in McLean County. They've been going after county auditors for quite some time in the state of Illinois. And you've got this office, this referendum to eliminate that office failed in 2014. Now in 2016 or 2018, this is according to Chuck Erickson, they tried to run a Republican primary opponent. I say Republican primary opponent. From what I understand, the Democrats ran her, Tricia Malott. I saw social media posts from Tricia Malott saying that she was a Hillary Clinton supporter, back in 2016 or 2018 or whatever it was. And they ran her against the current auditor. I think she was the Democrats' pick from the get. I mean, I don't know how many Republicans that actually post favorable posts to Hillary Clinton. But Trish Malott failed. Okay, so they tried to run a Democrat, excuse me, essentially against Michelle Anderson back in 2016. I'm going to say it's 2016. I think it might have actually been 2018. Yeah, it was definitely 2018 because I remember, 2018 definitely, because I went to a Tricia Malott campaign stop and covered it as a reporter for my in my college days when I was a reporter for the college radio station. So in 2020, I believe, the Democrats, this is what Chuck Erickson says, ran Rob Fazzini against the current auditor, and then he failed. In 2024, they tried to pass this referendum. It failed. They have been going after this position for quite some time. This isn't like the first time they've gone after the county auditor position. And I love how the voters just said, enough's enough, no. And it was an overwhelming no. It wasn't like even really all that close. And they've been going after this position for 10 years. Okay, so this just tells me, like everywhere else in Illinois, they can't stand government transparency and accountability. They want unfettered power. They want to be able to spend the money however they wish on lavish trips. You see it in Dalton, the village of Dalton, where you've got Tiffany Henyard spending money on lavish trips. Okay, they want that kind of behavior to continue. They want to be able to campaign on government property. They want to be able to continue their illegal crap and to get away with it. And they don't want to do it under the nose of somebody who's going to hold them accountable or could potentially hold them accountable. So Champaign County, like I said, they sought to eliminate their auditor. It failed. It was a coordinated effort from the League of Women Voters and from other PACs. And this was Democrats versus Democrats over in Champaign County. Like I said, he was a Democrat Champaign County auditor. And he, called them out on their crap, $2 million in revenue loss. And they were like, oh, we don't want him we don't want him to be able to call us out on our nonsense. So we're just going to eliminate his position. He also was very clear about his position on the tax hike. It was the public safety tax hike, and he said that they didn't need it. He saw their finances and he goes, it's, wrong of them to be asking the taxpayers for more money with this referendum. And I think it was just all retaliation, because he was doing his job as county auditor. And he's a Democrat. Okay. So, this is really, it's not even a Democrat Republican issue. This is I want to be a dictatorship. I want to have unfettered power, and I don't want to be held accountable, versus let's have accountability, let's have government transparency, and let's do right by the McLean County taxpayers. Let's do right by the Champaign County taxpayers. Let's do right by our constituency. You've got the elitists who want to continue to do illegal activity, and it's no different, right? You've got Hunter Biden pardoned. Only in the public sector does this kind of stuff happen, where you get away with this sort of crap. He's got gun charges, he's got tax evasion, tax fraud, he's got all kinds of things he's facing and charged with, and he just gets off scot-free. I'm getting pretty sick of it. These elitists versus the rest of us. That's what this is about. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. So do appreciate you tuning in. Before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Scott Presler. I want to start there this morning. Scott Presler, he completely destroyed CNN reporter. CNN tried to tie Scott Presler's rhetoric to something akin of January 6th, but he's smarter than probably everybody at the CNN studio, and definitely this reporter. So he shut down the reporter who foolishly tried to pin him into a corner. He wasn't there for it. He was not going to allow her to do this. So here's Scott Presler, the CNN reporter. Here we go.
I noticed that when you urge people to action,
yes,
you often include the word
peacefully.
Is that to avoid another Jan 6 type incident?
With all due respect, it's to avoid people like you guys saying that I'm anything but. My motto is to just be super cute, have my data and facts, treat everyone with love and respect, and as you can see, an army of people will follow.
I noticed that when you...
Wow. All right. So that was Scott Presler shutting down this reporter. With all due respect, it's to kind of prevent people like you from saying I'm anything but peaceful. That's why I include the word peacefully when I'm talking about action, going and taking action. Okay, so instead of ignoring the fact that he often includes the word peacefully, she tried to paint him as if every group he talks to is violent. Okay, so the reason why she brought this up and said, hey, he includes the word peacefully. She's trying to paint him as if he's talking to violent groups, Republicans that are violent or January 6th type people. And she ignores the fact that he's actually saying peacefully because he has to kind of play offense with these people. When he urges people to action, he has to ensure that people like her don't call him violent. So while she pathetically thought she would make him look bad, he turned right around and proved how foolish he actually was. It's people like her who could care less about the truth, so long as they can tie conservatives to things that they have no ties to. Okay, conservatives don't have any ties to the violence that happened at the Capitol on January 6th, because guess what? The only violence that I saw, according to all of the footage that was released, came from the Capitol Police. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think that the Capitol Police started it, people fought back, and then they called it violence. That's where I'm at with January 6th. I think that the only violence that happened that day were the Capitol Police. And my proof, well, one, all of the footage, two, the fact that a Trump supporter died. Nobody else died. A Trump supporter died. She was gunned down at point blank range. And it's clear he is a peaceful dude. Scott Presler is a very peaceful dude, but this reporter proved exactly why he needs to add the unnecessary verbiage like peacefully, because if not, they'll twist his words into oblivion if he says and if he urges people to action, which clearly he means to the ballot box. He's not meaning physically violent or physically take action, but he has to include the word peacefully in his rhetoric. And when he talks about, people taking action, he has to include that because they'll twist his words into oblivion. And, don't take for granted the ability of the media to pretend common sayings mean what they don't mean. Okay, so that saying, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." CNN would claim that the person is actually eating a horse. Okay, if I were to say that, "Oh, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse," the headline would be "Conservative cat eats horses." Right? That's what CNN would do. These people do not care about the truth. People should not have to state the obvious, but because reporters at CNN are, objectively stupid, we've got to state the obvious. Scott Presler has to state peacefully. Otherwise, they're going to say, "Oh, Scott Presler, he's urging people to action. He wants them to be physically violent." No, I want them to take action and go to the ballot box. Now, for those of you who don't know, Scott Presler, he was very committed to getting voters registered in Pennsylvania. He got the Amish vote out in Pennsylvania, and it's kind of unclear if Pennsylvania would have been won had not the work been done by Scott Presler. Therefore, the election, the work that Scott Presler did. But like I said, the CNN, they're the ones who have the violent rhetoric, not Scott Presler. Scott Presler is out there saying, "Hey, take action now, but do it peacefully, peacefully, peacefully." He has to say that because they'll twist his words. Remember, they're the ones, outlets like CNN, they use rhetoric, and their rhetoric almost got Trump killed not once, but twice, and arguably 3 or 4 times. So there was attempted assassination on his life twice. So they project their insecurities onto him, Presler, and everyone else, conservatives. But really, they're the ones who should be using the word peaceful more than ever. Okay, they're the ones who should be using peaceful in their rhetoric. Because they're the ones that have the violence on their side. We had somebody almost kill the former president twice, in the leading candidate, twice because of their rhetoric. So unclear if Presler's work secured this victory for Donald Trump, but I definitely think that his efforts here definitely, if not secured that victory, helped in that victory tremendously. So it should be a model for conservatives in every single state. Conservatives should be doing the work that Scott Presler did. And very proud of Scott Presler's work in Pennsylvania. He registered the Amish, got the Amish out to vote. We won Pennsylvania. Huge win. All right, I do want to talk about Sharon Stone. Do you know who this is? I had to look up this woman. I've never seen her in a movie. I've never seen any movie she's ever in, but she's an actress, and she said that half the country is naive, arrogant, and immature for not electing her preferred candidate. Okay, I don't know about you, but I think I'm very mature for not I still can't believe that we had somebody on the ticket, Kamala Harris. She is part of a wine club, but she goes by an alias when she goes and gets her wine from this wine club. Like, that is very immature, okay? And if not, a clear indication that this woman has a problem with alcohol. I think that, I don't know about you, but I don't know any sober people who try to get their alcohol under an alias. Okay. So she says that we're immature. She says that, we're arrogant and that we're naive. However, I don't think that this actress is aware that her candidate was undemocratically selected. Okay. We had a candidate who was democratically elected, ran a primary, destroyed everybody in the primary, right? Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, destroyed them all. And he definitely was democratically elected. And on her side, you've got the most undemocratic election in American history. She was selected at the last minute. There was pretty much a coup, de facto coup against Joe Biden to get her into that position to run in the general election. So I want to take a break. Well, no, we're gonna play this clip first, and then I'll take a break. So this is the actress. I'm gonna play this. Who says that you're arrogant, you're naive for voting for Donald Trump, not her preferred candidate. Take a listen. Here we go.
Italy has seen fascism. Italy has seen these things. You guys, you understand.
She's comparing Trump to Mussolini. This is ridiculous, but let's keep going.
What happens? You have seen this before. My country is in its adolescence. Adolescence is very arrogant. Adolescence thinks it knows everything. Adolescence is naive and ignorant and arrogant. And we are in our ignorant, arrogant adolescence. We haven't seen this before in our country. So Americans who don't travel, who 80% don't have a passport, who are uneducated, are in their extraordinary naivete.
What?
What I can say is that the only way that we can help with these issues is to help each other. Now, we can't just say that women should help women because that's the only way we have survived so far. We must say that good men must help good men, and those good men must be very aware that a lot of your friends are not good men. And you can't continue to pretend that your friends are good men when they are not good men. And you must be very clear-minded and understand that your friends who are not good men are dangerous, violent men. And you have to keep them away from your daughters, your wives, and your girlfriends. Because this is a time when we can no longer look away when bad men are bad.
What? She's clearly lost her mind, folks. And it's arrogant and ignorant to claim that Americans don't have a right to elect people in their best interest just because they don't have a passport or just because they don't have a college education. Okay, you have the right to vote for whoever you think is going to be, in your best interest and to vote in your best interest. And what's even worse is that people are actually struggling to make ends meet due to the policies of this person, this actress's preferred candidate, Sharon, whatever her name is. Kamala created one of the worst inflationary periods. It's an inflation crisis, America's worst inflation crisis, because of her tie-breaking vote, the American Rescue Plan Act. I talked about that. Yet, that's not a struggle Stone can comprehend. She can't comprehend inflation. She can't comprehend how that affects you and your family and how you can't put bread on the table. She's so out of touch with the average American that the most important thing to her is fake joy and that you vote for somebody that couldn't even win in a primary. Okay, that's That's where she's at with her preferred candidate. Now she has no clue what it's like worrying about paying bills or putting food on the table. And, she says that, there's a big problem with adolescents. She's calling you an adolescent. She's calling you arrogant. She's calling you ignorant because you voted in your best interest. She compared Italy's long history with America's before saying Italy has seen fascism, has seen what happens under a fascist government. And the only way that we can help with these issues is to help each other. That's what she said here. And she compared Trump to Mussolini. Again, it was her side. It was Kamala Harris. It was the Democrats there that orchestrated a de facto coup against Joe Biden. And it's deranged that she continues with the sort of rhetoric that nearly got Trump killed, that he's a bad man and you need to keep Trump away from your wives, from your daughters. How about we keep trans people away from our wives and daughters? Are the bad men the ones that say, hey, let's keep men out of women's bathrooms? Are those the bad men we're talking about here? Man, I don't think that we could have proven that Hollywood, these actors in the media, they're just so irrelevant. And the election clearly proved that the election, if anything, it just shows you that whole industry is dead. We don't care what the actors say. We don't care that all these famous people came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. We don't care that the media, the corporate media, was shilling for Joe Biden and shilling for the Kamala Harris campaign. We don't care. The next time she wants to lecture Italians on American adolescence, the least she could do is not slander and mock half of the country. Okay, she comes off as very arrogant and as a person who thinks she knows everything. She thinks that she knows everything. All right, I do want to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk about Joe Biden in the White House. They have said for a long time that they're not going to pardon Hunter Biden, but guess what? He did it on Sunday. Joe Biden announced that he issued a full pardon, stretching all the way back to 2014 crimes for his son Hunter. And only in the public sector can you get away with doing illegal activity. We talked about that earlier on the show. You've got county administrators, you've got county board members who are quite literally breaking the law. That's not me saying that. That is an attorney saying that who worked for the government via text message. He said illegally solicited donations. Only in the public sector can you get away with illegal activity and not be held accountable for your actions. Only there. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9 The News in Talk of Bloomington Normal.
Speaker Michael Madigan and his longtime associate Michael McLean are charged with bribery, racketeering, and official misconduct. Prosecutors played a recorded call from April 23, 2018, featuring McLean and former Chicago Alderman Daniel Solis talking about State Senator Martin Sandoval. Yeah, I've never wanted the guy on my side, so I could drive the weight and half of Franklin. In an earlier call, McLean agreed with Solis that State Rep Luis Arroyo was very similar to Sandoval. I tried to tell him not to do that anymore. Yeah, he still does it. Sandoval pleaded guilty to bribery in 2020, died later that year. Arroyo pleaded guilty to wire fraud in 2021 and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. I'm Jim Calamonte. News on the air, on the web, on your app, and on Alexa, I'm Tom Davis. Here's the Bloomington Normal Forecast on Cities 92.9. Light snow ending, gradually becoming mostly sunny with a high of 27 today. Clear skies tonight, low down to 14. Tuesday, mostly sunny, warmer, high 30.
Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. Before I took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Hunter Biden and how he's been the focus of many scandals during his father's administration. And in the race leading up to the 2020 contest, the 2020 election, contents from his laptop were exposed. This became known as the laptop from hell. That was made public in October of 2020, and it revealed close ties between Biden and his son's business dealings, which he had said he was not a part of. He was not a part of his son's business dealings. But it revealed that Biden did have ties to his son's businesses. The New York Post's publication of this story detailing those allegations with the backup from the laptop essentially broke the internet. We knew that it was going to break the internet, the publication, right? And then Twitter and Facebook, these platforms, they suppressed the story, and the news outlets that were advocating for a Joe Biden victory ran articles about how they would not cover the laptop and that it was Russian disinformation. Joe Biden's campaign, the Biden campaign's Anthony Blinken, who later became Blinken's Secretary of State, elicited former intelligence officials to write a letter stating that the laptop bore the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Yes, they got all that big old letter, right? Dana Bash's, I believe, husband was a former intelligence official who was, on that letter. And this falsehood was then repeated by the Biden campaign and their friends in the corporate media. No, it's Russian disinformation, everything on that laptop. After the election, in some cases over a year later, the outlets were forced to concede that story and that laptop was real and that it was not Russian disinformation and that there were ties between Biden and his son's business dealings. Okay, and that this laptop was authentic. Okay, and the outlets were forced to concede that the story was real and that Biden had actually left this laptop at a Delaware repair shop and that it was authentic, that this laptop was authentic and it was real. And it was later revealed that the FBI was aware of the existence of the laptop in 2019, but they sat on it. Okay, they sat on it. They didn't make any moves, although could be possible crimes committed here. Okay, if Biden having the big guy business dealings, involvement in his son's business dealings. This is a big story, and it made its way to the Post because the repair shop owner had made a copy and handed it to Rudy Giuliani. So the president is serving his last term in the White House, and he withdrew from the presidential race really in disgrace after this poor performance with Donald Trump back in June, and he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris on the same day he pulled out of the race, or he endorsed her on the same day he pulled out of the race. So the final White House term likely also spells an end to the 82-year-old's lifelong service, if you want to call it public service. It was more like career politician. He's been serving. He began his first term in the 1970s as a senator from Delaware. So he's done in politics, obviously. He doesn't even know where he is half the time, okay? But this is going to be his last term or his last go at it. I don't think that we're going to see him in politics ever, and I don't think that anybody's going to be held accountable. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. We know that Hunter Biden got a full pardon. This pardons him from 2014 all the way to 2024. And it's really sad to see that Democrats are above the law. Really, they're just above the law. Earlier in the show, in the 6 o'clock hour, I talked a lot about Elizabeth Johnson, the Democrat, county administrator Cassie Taylor. They went around and solicited donations on behalf of this on behalf of this political action committee, this action committee was established in support of this referendum to oust the McLean County auditor. I mean, that's illegal activity, and they're going to get away with it. Mark my words, they are getting away with it. They're going to get away with it. In fact, you probably can expect Lizzie Johnson to be named chairman of the McLean County Board, and she'll get away with it. Why? Because she's a Democrat. Or not even because she's a Democrat. I want to let me rephrase, because they're elitists and they think of you as tiny little ants, and they're bigger than you, they're better than you, and they can get away with it because they are in the public sector. See, it's not really even a matter of Democrat versus Republican. It's elitist versus the rest of us, or public sector versus the rest of us, and we're propping them up, and they wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for our money, to be honest with you. So I do have to take a quick break, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about this NIH employee. I hope I can get to this audio here. Turns out that the science was just political science, and there's enough evidence to prove that the policies during the pandemic were arbitrary at best. And there's undercover footage now of an NIH employee saying that we all know that the vaccines weren't going to work in stopping the spread of COVID-19, but they tried to get you and force you to be vaccinated. And they said, oh, stop the spread, get your vaccine, right? You guys remember that, but you were a conspiracy theorist for saying that the vaccines didn't work. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9.
Normal staff has revised proposed ordinance aimed at curbing those pop-up parties and easing restrictions to address free speech concerns while maintaining measures to prevent disruptive gatherings. That's a lot. The original ordinance faced some backlash, including warnings from the ACLU about the potential constitutional violations. The final election results are set to be announced by the Illinois State Board of Elections. The state's political leaders have already taken some lessons from the preliminary results. Just after the election, Illinois Governor J.D. Pritzker acknowledged President-elect Donald Trump gained some ground in Illinois, but down ballot, the local Democrats won their races. So I'm proud of that. I think that's a result of the policies the Democrats have had in Illinois and the approval of the voters about those. For Republicans, there was no ground game with the congressional delegation or the state legislature, but State Representative Ryan Spain said the results are not an endorsement of the status quo, but rather evidence of an electoral map written by Democrats. Donald Trump did not do any work or advertising in the state to 44% of the vote. That's a far cry from the 3 districts that are represented in Congress, and certainly a far cry from the 1/3 of the legislature that is represented by Republicans. I'm Craig Bishop. You can fill me in over the web on your app and on Alexa. I'm Tom Davis. Here's the movie to normal forecast on Cities 92.9.
Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk blooming to normal. I do want to play this. As it turns out, the science is actually more like bureaucratic control and political science, and there's more than enough evidence now to prove that the policies put in place during the pandemic, they were arbitrary at best. The NIH employee here, undercover footage obtained by O'Keefe Media Group, he says he doesn't even know if these vaccines stop you from getting COVID. They don't. By the way, they don't stop you from getting COVID-19. Let's take a listen to this undercover footage. Here we go.
A lab in Wuhan, China, to like make, and Pfizer and Moderna are just getting a bunch of money from it, from all these vaccine mandates.
Roger Cholin is with the National Institute of Health.
For other vaccines, like measles or whatever, you have to go through several rounds of approval, but these were accelerated through the approvals.
Do you think that if like the mRNA stuff is safe, if it's like really effective people with the myocarditis stuff?
I think we're all going to learn when it's too late.
I think that's important. The lack of effectiveness of the vaccine product.
Like the 6-foot rule, remember that? Like that wasn't like based on any real evidence that did anything. It was completely made up.
Well, what do you think? Like, what happened? Like, be realistic.
Roger then brings up politics, talks about which political party he prefers and what would happen to him and NIH under an incoming Trump administration.
I think it would be worse for the NIH. I think it would be better for a Democrat to be in office.
Of course, it would be better for a Democrat to be in office for the NIH because you guys won't be held to any kind of standard. So it turns out that the conspiracy theory that COVID was made in a lab was not one after all. That's actually not a conspiracy theory because here you have an NIH employee admitting that that's true. And it was the NIH itself that started this mess. The NIH started this all themselves. So he doesn't think that the vaccines actually prevent transmission at all. They don't prevent transmission. And that was never really their intent. He also said that the 6-foot rule, right, 6 feet social distancing, right, that was completely made up. So these policies, these pandemic policies, were arbitrary at best, if not just completely fabricated. So you've got Raja Cholin. He's the chief of health data standards branch at the National Library of Medicine under the NIH. And he said that the COVID-19 vaccine actually increases your risk for myocarditis if you're under the age of 30. Sounds like it wasn't actual science and it was really just all about bureaucratic control and political science. And yeah, I hope this guy gets fired along with a lot of other people from the NIH. Who implemented those policies. You guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Love you. We're going to be back again tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. till 8 a.m. This has been Conservative Cat. We'll talk again soon.